Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. We are today Monday, March 11th, 2019, and I want to welcome everyone who is watching this video, and I want to thank you for watching my channel. So before we start off this video, the first thing that I'm going to acknowledge is that I haven't filmed any video in about in over a month. I'm very certain that you guys knew the entire ordeal that we were going through here in Haiti, and it was just like it put everyone on edge. It was just so crazy over here. So I was unable to film any type of videos for you. And at the end of the month, when things started to pick up a little bit slower, I just started to have like some type of acid reflux, and I was really unable to like do anything. I had to deal with that. So finally, I'm feeling a little bit better, and I decided to take these 2 weeks to film because my intention is to get the hell out. I am tired. I want to relax. I need a vacation, and I am really looking forward to doing some type of vlogging for you very soon. So for today, I have like for this month, I am going to take things a little bit like lightly. I'm not yet going to be talking about like topic discussions related to Haiti. I actually wanted to do these videos, and I actually wanted to film and put these videos out for you first around like February, but I was unable to do that. I just feel like, especially with dealing with so much here in this country, I just want to light up a little bit my channel. So for today, I want to talk about how to raise boss children. I think that a lot of times like we talk about how to be boss ladies, how to be a boss man, how to level up in line. But what about if you have your own children? What about how you want to raise like before we start with this video, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background, because I don't really talk a lot about like my family stuff here on this channel, but I feel like I want to open up a little bit because I know that it's going to help someone. So contrary to popular belief, for those of you who probably have watched my journey to Haiti, you know already I mentioned these things here and there. Contrary to popular belief, I am not a child who has been cherished, like spoiled. Well, maybe in a way. But my parents are very much focused on academics, right? My mother wasn't focused 100% on academics because, there is a lot of extracurricular activities that, we all participated in when we were children, such as I went to dance school at the age of 3, and I stopped dancing all the way when I was like, I think I stopped dancing like when I was 17, when I started to, when I went to the state. But then after that, I found like a place in Central Square in Cambridge, and I started back dancing. So dancing has been in my life all, for a great majority of my time. And also like piano lessons. Like my mother really did kind of like branch off. However, as I was growing up, my school setting was not, it wasn't for me. Like, cause I started off at a totally like Catholic school system, and I was not vibing with the nuns. They definitely like put me out. And so my mother wanted to put me in another school system like with the nuns, but I told my father like that was not going to happen. I told him like I don't want to go, otherwise I was not going to go to school. So they ended up putting me into a different school system. So why do I still feel as if, I wasn't raised as like someone who could have like the person that I'm becoming right now? Well, because like, my time in the States where I had to, it's kind of like, every decade your life plays out on you, your life, it plays out. So I was looking at my life course, and I was looking at the fact that I had to redirect my life path, and I had to redirect my life course in so many ways over the years, because I never had the guidance to go after who I truly am, which is a creative person. And academics is not always my thing. I do understand that we do need a foundation in anything that we do, and it's great to have academia in your background because I feel like it gives you the techniques So that's why I will never kind of like disregard academia. I feel like academia gives you the technique. However, I do know, I'm not even going to say that I feel, I do know that academia is not for everyone. And you have to recognize that early on in your children, whether you are a parent, whether it is that you are parenting, whether it is your children, your nieces, foster care, and especially if you are a teacher, especially if you are in the educational field, your task is not to give always academia to kids. It is to sense your children's ability, the children that you have in your classroom's ability, and to kind of like direct them. That is probably one of the reasons why what you will never probably you're gonna know, I don't work in academia. I never did, although for the last 10 years I've worked with schools, but my programs are strictly creative, right? Because of the fact that I knew in my young years, like I never did well in a rigid system. So when I work with kids, that's not what I give. I never give kids like a rigid of box. It's never like that. Ask any of my students. I am extremely creative at designing programs. I am extremely creative at, kind of like designing classrooms and doing things the way that I judge fit for a different class. It's funny that I may teach one class in a setting and I teach another class in a very different settings, because if the students gives me two different vibe, I'm not going to have two different class system. So it's the same thing when you're parenting. And that's probably where I always kind of like disagree with people who feel like, okay, yes, my parents have done that, because I feel like they never really did. Not to blame them, but I feel like they focus so much on academia that they overlook the fact that I was highly talented, and not only highly talented, but I learned in a very different manner than my brothers and my sisters, right? So over the years, like I love to converse a lot with my younger sister, because she's the one who's doing all the academia that I could have done to get to the final destination, whereas I took a different route. I took the life path. I decided to just like wing it out, right? So this is for you today. I wanted to put this out because I know that I work a lot with parents too. That's one thing about me. Like if you ever like had to deal with me and your kids, like the one thing, for example, my sister is a parent. The one thing that I always tell her, I said, build a relationship with your son's teacher. It makes such a great difference when you have a personal relationship with your children's teacher, because the approach is different, because it's kind of like the teacher doesn't look at that student, and the teacher doesn't look at that student as kind of like, oh, that's so and so. The teacher looks at that student like, oh, okay, I remember what that parent was telling me. I remember what, like, his mother was telling me. Okay, well, you know what? So it's kind of like when you have a personal relationship with a parent, I'm not saying to disclose everything that's going on in your house, but let's say that you had a rough weekend in your household, and that it took a toll on your kids, and you pull out you come to drop your kids off in the morning, and you kind of like pull out the teacher, and you be like, oh, so and so, I just wanted to come, I wanted to talk to you. He had a rough weekend, so if the behavior is not good in class, if his behavior or her behavior is not great in class, I just want you to take that into consideration. Trust me, unless that teacher is like some type of sick person, it makes an entire difference as to the approach that teacher is going to have with that student in the classroom. Because let's say that this is a student that usually participates, but that day he decides to act up. The teacher is going to let it slide. The teacher is not going to let him or her ruin the classroom, but the teacher is going to let it slide a little bit. You understand? Because mom, dad already had that conversation. I know that he's going through a lot. Or the teacher is going to kind of like, or let's say he just recluse into himself. Let's say that student is no longer doesn't want to talk, or the teacher is going to have a very different reaction to that student, because mom and dad already came and mom and dad already like taught. Okay. So the other thing that I want to talk about is like also the approach. I have like my last years in the States, you guys know that I've worked in the school system and I don't like it. I hate the United States public school system. I think it does a disservice to the teachers, it does a disservice to the students, it does a disservice to the goddamn parents. Everybody is on edge when the school system in the United States. The parents want to fight the teachers. The teachers are done there, like they are not giving their best, because the environment is just garbage. So this is like, for me, I just feel like anyone who would want to sort of like, how can I say, anyone who would want to have children in the United States, to me, I feel like you either need to have the money to put your kids in a private school setting, or you need to like homeschool your kids. Trust me on that. Okay, two things: private, homeschool. And homeschool is good too, if you have the time. So it's already 13 minutes into the video. Let's talk about what the points that I made. So the first thing I said, to raise your boss children, you need to recognize that your children are bosses. You need to have that. Like, I love working with little kids, like the kindergarten, because it is at these tender ages of 2 and 3 and 4 years old that kid is showing you who he or she is going to be. Trust me. A lot of times, like, if you look at your kids older, go back to their young years, and you're going to tell yourself, you know what? I should have known that she was going to end up like that. I should have known that he was going to end up like that. So I feel like, as a parent, you need to recognize and acknowledge that you are raising, like, your children are bosses. Like, you gotta look at them and be like, okay, that's boss right there. Like, you have to see it in them. The second thing I say, cater to their individual needs. Get to know them. You need to get to know your children. You need to spend time with your children individually. So it doesn't matter if you have 5, 6, 7 kids. It doesn't even matter if you have triplets, twins. They are never the same. I'm paying attention because my aunt is here. And I just went downstairs and I locked them out because I don't want them to come. And I'm making sure that, like, nobody's coming through the stairs. So anyways, you have to cater to your children's needs individually. That's how you're going to raise children who don't have any resentment against one another. That's how you're going to have a balanced family, family structure. That's how you're going to have, like, children who are healthy. Like, nobody is going to compare themselves with each other. Nobody's going to feel like, I'm better than her, she's better. You're not going to have this stupid argument in the house like, oh, that's why mom said you so and so. Cut it out. You're not raising boss children if you're comparing your kids. You need to get to know your kids individually. And you need to tell yourself, okay, like, for instance, for myself, after I was thrown out of, like, the Catholic school system, it was a done deal. My parents were like, okay, you know what, this shit is not going to work for her. We already know that. My father used to look at me like, if you were not my kid, because they knew that, okay, the entire Catholic school system, it was just not going to work for me. So the third thing I said, invest in your children's talents. Oh my God. People always say to me, like, especially now, this is going to be for a different topic. People say, why you don't have kids? I don't have kids yet because for the last 10 years of my life, I've been working with kids. And as a teacher, you don't want me as your kid's teacher. I'm that teacher who's going to, the school is going to have a list. Oh, God damn it, I'm going to have a list. Because I'm going to tell you, okay, we're going to do this activity. So you need to go get this. You need to go get that. You need to go get da 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 da. That's me. Because I want all my students to have every equipment to give me their best. So having kids is expensive. And whether you have them, whether you adopt them, whether you care for them, it's expensive. But in order to raise boss children, if your child has a talent, you need to invest in that. Mom, I think that's why I need to probably, like, realize that mom did invest in me to be a boss child. But I think, like, when I started to be a boss woman, she kind of like wanted to, she kind of like had too much control. We'll get to that. So the third thing I said invest in your children's talent. For example, for me, my mother knew that I loved to dance. We all went to dance, but I was the one who was, like, always, like, wanted to dance. So they did that. They did dance. They did theater. They did everything that puts me at who I am right now, actually, really. So sometimes I remember, oh, it's so windy, guys. It is so windy. I have to hold this thing. Sometimes I go to the store and I see, like, around my way, like in the States, even here in Haiti, and parents like school supplies. Listen, guys. Oh my God, this video is gonna be so long. Listen, school supplies are not even like the thing, because you need to like buy school supplies, and you sometimes when your kids have talents, you need to buy that supply. So you need to invest. You don't know later down the road where that child is going to end. So don't kind of, I don't want to say neglect, but overlook, say things like, oh, you know what, you need math. Like, no, that's math you need. I don't want to do it. No, 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 no. You got to invest in the talents too. School is expensive. I mean, if what the kids is doing is like it's becoming like so much, maybe you can get creative way, maybe like, especially if you live in the United States, like there's so many things that you could do. Like if you need extra books for your kids, if you need extra art supply for your kids, I mean, there's so many. Four, I put that you need to encourage them even when you have doubt. You need to encourage your children even when you have doubt. It means so much. I mean, like between you and I, sometimes my parents feel a certain type of way when I'm doing stuff and I'm not including them. It's not because I don't want to include them, but it's just because like sometimes I feel like, especially me coming back to Haiti, like doing all these things, I just felt like they stepped in my ways for such a long time, that they've stepped into my ways, that I feel like, you know what, I just don't want you to know anything about what I'm really doing, what I'm about. But you need to encourage your children. That's how you have boss children, because what makes one person succeed and the next person not succeed is who they had in their environment. So you have to encourage your children. Like that's where I'm also at with my sister and my first nephew, because I can see that he's not into the whole academy thing. So his mother is different, because she's like the whole perfect A student. So I'm trying to have her see him in a different light. Like, don't see your kid in your light, see your kid in their light, because you're going to overlook who he is as a person. He's not a reflection of you. He's a reflection of himself, and you need to be there for him, to support him in that manner. So five, I said build their self-esteem. That's one thing I can say about my parents, especially my father. They definitely built that woman that you saw right there. My dad, he didn't play no games. Oh my God. Let it be known that if I came home and I told my dad that somebody did something to me or somebody said something to me, oh my God, my father would just drive right back to the school. My father didn't play any games. Oh my God. This man, he didn't play any games. So that's where my self-esteem came. Even now as a woman, like, you know, people say that I come off a certain way. I don't come off anyway. It's just because like, if I don't love myself, who's gonna love me? But my parents did have like, see, my parents didn't always focus on my physical appearance. Let me tell you something. Like, I remember specifically a conversation that my father had with me when, that's before the nuns like terminated me, like I got expelled from the school. They used to call my father like constantly, like my fault, because my mother at that time, she was working in her school. So the nuns, they would like submit these notes, and my father had to leave work to come. And I remember one time he was driving, he said, Rebecca, let me tell you something. You know you, like I'll say it in Creole and then I'll say it in English. So he was like, he was like, but I failed. So basically he was telling me that you are, how do I say frequent? Like you are very confident, like you are overconfident, or you just have like a certain light about you. And I want you to excel in everything that you do. He did say that to me. He's like, I want you to excel in everything that you do, because in the path that you're going, I'm starting to realize that you're going to have more people who like goes against you than people who are going to like direct you. So I want you to be like really fierce, not only in your physical, but in your books. I want you to kill them with your books. I want you to be smart. He used to say that. And you know what my father used to do? We would watch interviews all the time, and he would be like, that's how I want you to be. That's how I want you to be. That's how I want you to be. So this is the result of that. This is the result of all these like talks that they had when I was a kid. So I said the sixth thing, listen to them. You need to listen to your kids. Oh my God. I listen to my student. That's how I get to know my student. That's how I get to also pay attention at if there is a problem in the home. That's how I get to pay attention at if there is some type of issue that I need to be aware of, especially working in the school systems, because sometimes it's like they bombard you with so much work that at times you don't have the time to really work. But I don't care about math. I don't care about like this bullshit. I mean, I do have them do their homework sometimes, but I care about the talks, what they're saying among each other. Because then I can pay attention and I can redirect their focus. You know what I mean? So as a parent, you have to listen to your kids. You just have to listen to your children. 7, recognize and accept their power. I think that this is where mom had a problem. I think you need to recognize and accept your children's power. Your children's power is not here to challenge your power. Your children's power is their inner power, and you have to cultivate that. This is such a cruel world. It's a harsh word. It's a hard word. And kids who are not prepared cannot face that harshness. So you as a parent, you have to give your children's credibility. 29 minutes. 8, don't compete with them. Again, your children are your prodigy. They are your kids. They are the kids that you wanted to have. You don't have kids for your own pleasure. You have kids because you want to bring about your own legacy. But you also have to remember that that same kid that's on goo is probably that same kid that you want to box sometimes. But you can't do that. You have to be a parent. You have to let them be themselves. You have to let them expose themselves. You have to let them talk to you in a certain type of way. It's not so much that they're being kind of like rude and disrespectful, but it's so much that it's themselves asserting themselves. Let them talk, and once they talk, you're gonna redirect. You're gonna say to them, you know what? That whole attitude, turn it down a little bit. When you talk, that's how you start to help them communicate better. Because I don't know how many times I see kids coming up in school and having so much attitude, but then when the parent came, I'm like, okay, god damn it, okay, I see where that comes. You need to teach your children how to communicate. Let them be in their power, but it is within their power that you're going to direct them. The 9th, I said, let go of control. Oh my God. Your children are an experiment. I think that I can take myself as an example. I can take my mom as an example with that. I mean, I have never seen someone like her. I have yet to meet a woman like her. Oh my God, that woman strives on control, and she's not realizing that you're going to lose everything that you love because of that control. You can't want to control everything in life. You can't want to control people's destiny. You can't want to control what people do, how people do it. It's a sickness. It really is, because it's just gonna lead. You can't. Let go of control. Let go of control. And the 10th thing I said, acknowledge their power. You need to acknowledge your children's power. You need to give them power. You need to let them have control. You need to really let go. Acknowledge who your children is, or at a very, very young age. Acknowledge that in your children. You're going to see the difference. You're going to see the difference. It's going to build adults that are really strong. It's going to it's too many times into this video. So I hope that these tips ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next.